wiretaps, break-ins, cover-ups. These words echo from a tumultuous era, defining a scandal that transcended mere political intrigue. Watergate was not simply a partisan battle, it was a profound constitutional crisis, a direct assault on the integrity of American governance. For the first time in its history, the United States witnessed the forced resignation of a sitting president, a stark testament to the enduring power of its democratic institutions. In the pre-dawn hours of June 17, 1972, 5 men were apprehended inside the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. Their mission: to bug the offices and photograph sensitive documents. This seemingly isolated burglary quickly unraveled, revealing a clandestine operation far more sinister than initially perceived. The arrested individuals, including former CIA operative James McCord, were soon linked to the Committee for the Re-election of the President, CRP, known colloquially as CREEP. This immediate connection raised alarming questions about the involvement of President Richard Nixon's campaign. The initial White House response was dismissive, labeling it a third-rate burglary. However, tenacious investigative journalism, notably by Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of The Washington Post, refused to let the story fade. They meticulously uncovered a web of financial transactions and shadowy figures, suggesting a deliberate, orchestrated effort to undermine the democratic process. The stakes were rapidly escalating beyond a simple criminal act. Rather than confronting the truth, President Nixon and his closest advisors embarked on an elaborate, systematic cover-up. This intricate conspiracy involved obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and the payment of hush money to silence the burglars. Key figures like Attorney General John Mitchell, White House Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman, and Domestic Affairs Advisor John Ehrlichman became central to this illicit enterprise. The administration exerted immense pressure on federal agencies, including the FBI and the CIA, to impede investigations. They sought to deflect blame, create false narratives, and discredit anyone who dared to question the official story. This calculated campaign of deception aimed to protect the presidency at all costs, eroding public trust with each new revelation. The cover-up was not merely an act of political expediency, it represented a fundamental abuse of presidential power. It demonstrated a willingness to subvert the rule of law and manipulate the machinery of government for personal and political gain. The very foundations of American justice were being tested by those sworn to uphold them. The scandal reached its critical turning point with the revelation of secret White House recordings. In July 1973, former presidential aide Alexander Butterfield disclosed the existence of an elaborate taping system in the Oval Office and other key locations. This bombshell transformed the investigation, offering the potential for irrefutable evidence of presidential involvement. Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox, appointed to investigate Watergate, immediately subpoenaed these tapes. Nixon, citing executive privilege, vehemently refused to comply, triggering a monumental constitutional clash. This standoff culminated in the infamous Saturday Night Massacre in October 1973, when Nixon ordered the firing of Cox, leading to the resignations of Attorney General Elliot Richardson and Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus. The public outcry was immense, intensifying calls for accountability. The legal battle ultimately reached the Supreme Court, which, in United States v. Nixon, 1974, unanimously ruled that executive privilege could not be used to withhold evidence in a criminal investigation. This landmark decision forced Nixon to surrender the tapes, sealing his fate. The recordings, particularly the smoking gun tape, unequivocally proved his direct involvement in orchestrating the cover-up. With the tapes released and public opinion decisively turned against him, President Nixon faced an insurmountable challenge. The House Judiciary Committee had already begun impeachment proceedings, drafting articles that included obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress. His political support evaporated, even among his staunchest Republican allies. On August 8, 1974, facing certain impeachment and conviction, Richard Nixon addressed the nation. His voice heavy with resignation, he announced his decision to step down from the presidency, effective the following day. It was an unprecedented moment in American history, a somber acknowledgement that even the highest office was subject to the law. The next morning, Nixon departed the White House aboard Marine One, a solitary figure waving goodbye to a nation, grappling with the profound implications of his downfall. His departure marked the end of a tumultuous era, but the questions it raised about power, ethics, and accountability would resonate for generations. Watergate's immediate aftermath saw a flurry of legislative reforms aimed at preventing future abuses of power. The Ethics in Government Act of 1978, campaign finance reforms, and strengthened congressional oversight mechanisms were direct responses to the scandal. These measures sought to restore transparency and accountability to the federal government. However, the scandal left an indelible mark on the American psyche, profoundly altering the public's perception of government and political leadership. Trust in institutions plummeted, fostering a pervasive cynicism that continues to influence political discourse. Watergate redefined the role of investigative journalism, cementing its importance as a watchdog against governmental overreach. The term Watergate itself became synonymous with political scandal and cover-up, a permanent fixture in the lexicon of political commentary. It serves as a perpetual reminder that, in a constitutional republic, no individual, regardless of their office, stands above the law. The lessons of Watergate are not merely historical footnotes. They are vital tenets for safeguarding democratic principles against the corrosive effects of unchecked power. America's Watergate scandal was more than a political drama. It was a crucible that tested the very resilience of its constitutional framework. It underscored the critical importance of a free press, an independent judiciary, and a vigilant citizenry in holding power accountable. The events of 1972-1974 offer enduring insights into the fragility of democracy and the constant need for ethical leadership. The echoes of Watergate remind us that the pursuit of truth, the defense of justice, and the preservation of democratic norms are not static achievements but ongoing responsibilities. Understanding this pivotal moment in American history is essential for navigating the complexities of contemporary political landscapes. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Subscribe, share, and join the search for truth.